Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tim, and in the previous videos we talked about small scale engines with the Rubies, and we discussed in the comments about a couple of roundhouses and a couple of Regners. Well, today we're going to talk about my first locomotive, which is this one. This is the 7/8 scale Accucraft Forney. It's a 044 Forney, and of course 7/8 scale. Very large locomotive. This is 2 feet long. It's 5 1/4 inches wide, and it's about 9 inches at the top of the stack. This is a ceramic burner locomotive rather than a poker burner, so it's a little different. It does have a feed water system and sight glass, and it does have a pressure gauge that you don't necessarily get on the Rubies. So this is a much more complicated engine. It also has cylinder drain cocks, manual ones you have to go looking at. One of the big differences you need to know as far as running these ceramic burner locomotives is you need one of these. It's a suction fan. This is the Accucraft or Astor one. It's 4 AA batteries. It's adjustable. Before you light the fire on this, turn this thing on, and it'll start bringing air through the entire system. If there's any gas in there, maybe your fire went out from the previous light off, it'll evacuate it out. So couple of things that this thing has is the roof. You'll often see me running on the videos. If you've looked at the other ones on my channel of these things running, you never see a roof on it. The reason why, this is a thick steel roof. It's got the right contour, but it's very heavy. And when you hang it off the side, it makes the engine very, very unstable. It's very tall and it just wants to tip over. You find out very quickly. You'll also notice that I never have the tender cover. The tender filler is a fake. It doesn't do anything. It just bolted on. This engine has another couple of flaws. One is if you run outside in its original configuration, you get a lot of air up through the ash pan. You'll never catch up to it. You'll end up with a flame this high before you have time to catch up to it. So you need to buy a sheet of ceramic fiberglass, cut squares, put it in the ash pan. Problem solved. Jay from the train department told me that one. The other problem that it has is the water pump. It's a good water pump. It does move a substantial amount of water for its size, but the design flaw is that it wants to shear off the main pivot pin, and it's very difficult to replace. Both of my engines have a Astor water pump, and they work great. They don't move quite as much water as the original, but they're a lot more reliable. You don't have to worry about them breaking. This engine does not have a axle pump, so you have to use the water pump, or this one has a Goodall valve. You can use the Goodall hand pumps. They work well. They don't move as much water, but they do work. One thing, after you light it, or when you light it, you turn on the blower, turn your lighter on. You have to light it back here at the firebox, and then turn on the firing valve or gas valve. Make sure you have a flame before you turn the gas valve on, or else this thing will just fill up. And when it finally lights, it's a nice big pop, scares you. Take it up to about 20-25 pounds. Turn the blower on, again cracking it. You're not going to crank it up all the way because you don't want to use too much steam. And then take your fan off. You don't need it anymore. You just run off the blower. It should rise from 20-25 up to the 60-pound safety valve pop-off point fairly quickly. If it doesn't, you've got too much blower probably. As it's burning, you need to check every now and then. Open the firebox door with a pair of long nose pliers and check and see what color that ceramic burner is. This is a ceramic burner, not a poker burner, a little different. And make sure it's not a glowing white, a red, or an orange. You want it kind of a bluish purple. That way you know you're not too much and burning gas and heating it up too much. The ceramic is very important in the way these locomotives work, and that you get a lot of temperature off the block rather than depending all on the burner. But they work great. You can't overfire them, so you need to watch it. Once you light it and you're done checking, or if you're done checking it, close the door. That way you don't let any extra air in, and you don't let the heat out that you don't want to. You should get about an hour, hour and a half out of one of these things, but there's a lot going on. So between feed water, the various gauges, and the drain cocks, a lot going on. Otherwise, you fill the gas, you fill the lubricator, fill the water, of course, before you light off. This thing will empty a can, one of the big cans like I showed you in the last video. You get about 2 or maybe 3 runs out of one can, so it goes through an immense amount of gas. Lubricator, obviously you want to empty and refill every run, and then lubricate the rest of it up like we talked about last time. Here we are looking down at the cab and the tender section of the number 9. You can see the water pump here, gas tank here with the gas firing valve, and the line going back down to the tender, and below there's the pump and the water line feed to the boiler. You get into the cab, you have another filler point with a Goodall valve. You have the throttle sticking out the back here. You have the blower, very important on this locomotive. You have the lubricator over here, just like any other locomotive of this type. There is, you can kind of see it around a sight glass right here. It's kind of hard to see through all the junk. And on the bottom you can see that shiny lever. That's actually a blowdown valve, and I highly recommend do not use that. And then on the engineer side, here's the reverser, and you can lengthwise, here's a ruler. You can see it's a foot long, and yeah, the engine's pretty good sized. And you will get a workout carrying this thing all around, because 50 pounds fully loaded. The other thing is when you fill tender and boiler up, you're going to use pretty close to a half gallon of water every time you start, so just be aware of that. History books, it's good to see the engine you have in action. 2 feet to Taugis. Taugis was the Veterans Care Facility in Taugis, Maine. The Kennebec Central was there just to service the facility. Number 9 was number 4 on the Kennebec Central. You can see on the front of the book is number 3, which was a near twin of this thing as far as specifications. Different headlights. The cylinders were slightly smaller, but this ended up as number 4 on Kennebec Central, and it was in this configuration with the headlight, the steam gen, and the muffler on the vacuum brakes. I get asked about this all the time. I tell people it's a cup holder. It's actually the muffler for the vacuum brakes. The second book that I have is 2 Feet to Tidewater, about the WWF itself. This is the second edition, where it has the little bit of the early days of the modern recreation of the WWF. Some great pictures of this engine running on air, of all things, on the real one. Kind of get an idea how big or small this locomotive is in real life. If you have a RV shed, you could fit this in an RV shed. You don't need a very long one. Very good book. Lots of maps, lots of pictures, lots of plans. Both books are very, very informative. Lots of plans of this thing and its and photographs. I do not have anything on its early days at Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes. I do know from looking online that when it was Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes number 6, later in its life there, it was updated to this configuration with steam generator and electric headlight. So this can cover a lot of this engine's career as it sits. If you get the earlier version, the 6, you could also theoretically backdate it to the Sandy River 5. So you can cover anything, but they only come in the 6 and the 9, and that's it, coal or butane. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. We're going to talk about tools. Bye.